Welcome back. You are watching and listening to The Woo Factor. I am your host, Suzy Woo. This is the show that features, I never get it right, grounded conversations for cosmic thinkers. That's what. We demystify the woo-woo and bring it down to just a woo and turn the woo into a wow. Yeah, that's what's up. So today I've got another special guest who you will have the opportunity to meet at this summer's Metaphysical, Holistical, Mystical Expo. Me and my gosh darn verbiage, right? I named these things, but then I have to say them. Anyway, you're going to be meeting just about 100 different exhibitors this summer. And those who wanted to share their expertise ahead of time have the benefit of being on this podcast. And so let me read the introduction to who you're about to meet. Joel Salomon is a finance, mindful money expert and prosperity coach who helps others overcome obstacles standing in the way of their financial freedom. He's an award-winning TEDx speaker, workshop facilitator, and frequent television and podcast guest. As a former manager of a $700 million portfolio, the creator of his own successful hedge fund, and the author of 3 best-selling books, he has learned that the true foundation of wealth is a mindset of gratitude, love, and service. Oh, heck yeah. That's my kind of people. It's all about the love, baby. All right, you got to be it. You got to be it on the inside to manifest it on the outside. Super excited for you guys to meet Joel. So let's bring Joel on now. Welcome. Hello, Joel.
Thanks so much for having me, Suzy. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here today.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I might be as excited as you are because I haven't had any money guys yet. And everybody needs a money guy in their back pocket, especially given that nice bio. For me, it's always about how did you get to be where you are today? So if we can go way, way back, I'm going to guess and ask if you happen to have a money wound. Like, what was the thing that made you say no more and I want to do better?
Well, no money wound specifically, but I think like most people, I was brought up with words like, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's too expensive. Or inflation's really high these days. And so I was taught, like probably almost everyone who's watching and listening, and maybe you too, Suzy, these limiting beliefs that did not serve me. And they're just beliefs. They're not the truth, but yet they were told to us by well-meaning humans who didn't know any better. And so you can choose what beliefs you want to believe. Are they limiting you or are they empowering you? And so that's what I teach my clients, is to choose empowering beliefs and how to move those limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs. My first money memory is actually an empowering money memory, and it's something I ask my clients. And it was my uncle showing me coins from Europe and the Middle East after he had traveled all around Europe and the Middle East 40 years ago. And he was at my grandmother's house and showing me all the different coins, and I was truly amazed at the diversity of all the different currencies. And I said, I want to do that someday. I want to visit all those countries. I did visit Europe and lived in Europe for a year and a half. And right around the time they were converting to the euro. So I still had the opportunity to visit Germany when they were trading German D-marks, and Italy when they were trading Italian lira, and all the other currencies from around Europe I got to see before they converted to the euro. So that was awesome. I visited 30 countries and 40 cities in Switzerland when I lived there in a year and a half. And because one of my biggest passions is traveling. So no true money wound, but I'll tell you the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. I'm sure you're curious. I was managing a $700 million portfolio at Citigroup, started my own hedge fund, making very good returns for my shareholders and myself. And I went to a personal development course, and there was a guy there standing on stage in front of 200 people, telling them there's only one way to get rich, And of course, that's stock options. And I was sick to my stomach. It was day 2 of the conference. I had people tapping me on the shoulder, whispering me, Joel, does this make sense? Are options really risk free? And so I was polite. After he was done, we went out of the auditorium. I told him, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually, and most importantly, no idea about your belief that you could become rich using stock options. Went home that night, couldn't sleep. It's probably 3:30, 4 in the morning. I jumped out of bed and I realized that if I could ever get up the courage to speak on a stage, because my biggest fear that day was public speaking, I could tell people the truth about money, not lie to them and be of service.
Well,
And
what
so
is the truth about money? What is
that
that
there are
truth?
almost an infinite number of ways to generate abundance in your life. And it's not just stock options. So anyway, I went into my office, commuted in. I live in Westchester, commuted into Midtown Manhattan, 54th and 6th Avenue. Sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my true purpose on earth.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So that was loaded. I need to back up. How did you get to this $700 million portfolio? Like, we missed a couple of those little building blocks.
Yes, you did. So I had a dream in 1993 to manage money. I was working at an insurance company coding. And when I reached out to people on Wall Street, they said, you have no experience. You have no background. You have no education. So forget it. And that was my mom. No, I'm just kidding. But I got doubts from everyone, family, friends, acquaintances, people I reached out to. Finally, I found one guy who gave me his path. And I followed it mostly. And 15 years later, I got a job at Citigroup, and they gave me initially $300 million to manage. 2008, by the way. I know, Suzy, you're really young, so you don't remember, but in 2008, the stock market
Thanks.
was down. You were
Couple times,
24
yeah.
in 2008, right? So probably don't remember this, but the stock market was down 40%. Financial stocks were down 57%. And those were the only ones I was invested in. And I did manage to make money that year. And Citi gave me more money to manage the next year, and even more the next year, because I kept on making a lot of money for them. And at the peak, I was managing 700 million.
Wow. Wow. I'm curious, like, how did that feel? Like, did you go home one day and be like, wait a minute, what? My life is what? I manage how much? Like, it has to be a feeling of something, right?
Well, like probably most of your listeners and viewers, we manifest our lives. And so I had some big dreams and visualized and felt that feeling before it had actually happened. So when when it actually came into the physical reality, it felt normal.
Easy then. You just
Yeah,
slide right in.
easy.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's one. Yeah, you're definitely like speaking the language that I know and
yeah.
love and walk and talk. And so I definitely get that. We can't afford it and money doesn't grow on trees. You know, I definitely grew up with that as well. And I remember, well, I don't remember this, but my older sister told me that people had contributed to one of our Christmases because my dad was out of work and things like this. And so to me, I just use a different phrase. I call that a money wound of not having, and then pretty much then your own individual mindset. Like some will be bitter and some will become better. What was your very first job?
My first job was delivering penny savers around the neighborhood. I don't know if you remember penny savers,
I
but it was like
do, yes.
it's a little local newspaper with a lot of advertisements in it for local organizations. And so I was getting 1 penny per penny saver per house, and I delivered 100 to 150 houses. So I made $1.50. This was 40 years ago, so 45 years ago. Then we got if there was inserts, we got a quarter to a half a penny for each insert. So we really wanted those inserts so we could put them in. And I think, the most abundant day I had was I made $4.50, And again, this was 45 years ago. So probably inflation adjusted, it was about $45 to
Were you a
deliver.
saver? Did you have discipline at that age, or did you go to the candy store with it?
Definitely discipline. So I saved early on, but one of my stories in the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, my second book, I talk about how my dad said to me when I was 15 that we couldn't afford me going to a private college. And I said, why not? And he said, because we don't have the money. And I said, well, is there any way that I could go to a private college? And he said, sure. Save 1 year's worth of tuition, and then you can get to go to a private college. Now, he didn't know that I'm very competitive and I wanted to go to a private college. So I did everything I could to save 1 year's worth of tuition and went to University of Rochester.
Wow, I gotta know, what is your zodiac sign?
Libra.
Wow, so that's about balance, scales of justice, and Libra, and advocacy, and selfless. Libra is a selfless sign. It's all about the other person and partners and relationships and business relationships. Yeah, very, very fitting, I think. What has been your biggest, well, okay, so I'm being asked the word accomplishment. It's not what I was going to say. What do you feel your biggest accomplishment has been over your lifetime?
Most important, obviously, is being a proud dad of two amazing daughters, Lauren and Morgan. My company name is named after them. So it's SaLaur for Lauren, MOR for Morgan. Lauren just graduated from Syracuse University and has a job, full-time job in a few weeks at PNC Bank in Manhattan. And Morgan's going to be a doctor. She is pre-med at Colgate University, and she is doing it's not an internship, she told me. It's a student research job where she's getting paid. She's in Texas this summer.
Well, that's definitely a beautiful times two accomplishment there. You must be very proud.
I take 40% credit. I give my former wife 60% credit.
So tell me, because you work one-on-one with clients, what are the offerings? Like, I don't know if there's one or if there's several. What are some of the things that you offer working with one-on-one clients?
Great question. Thanks for that, Suzy. So yeah, I have really just two different offerings. Very simple. I have a hybrid where I combine one-on-one coaching with a group coaching program. That's 1 year. It's a 3-month fast track, I call it, where we do one-on-one coaching for 3 months, and then they continue on. Even during those 3 months, they're doing group coaching, and then another 9 months of group coaching. And the goal with everyone that I work with is to have them feel completely different about money. Almost everyone who comes to me is worried, fearful, anxious, and I get them to think about money as energy, and then money becomes fun and they expect it. And so that's a big outcome. And then, of course, moving them towards financial freedom. So most of my clients who come to me are really struggling on a day-to-day basis. Most of them are entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs who are not generating 10, 20, 30,000 a month. So we get them to work on the money mindset first, create a strong foundation, and then create some business strategies so that they can actually, generate the income so that they can move to financial freedom. So it's one program, which is a hybrid of one-on-one coaching and group coaching, and the other is just the group coaching. It's called the Money Miracles Mastermind Group. And by the way, in the Money Miracles Mastermind Group, members have already manifested $2,491,000.
Well, that's impressive. How many people do you suppose have you churned through your program since you started?
So the one-on-one coaching or the group or both?
Overall, everybody.
I mean, it's been 8 years, probably hundreds. Yeah, a couple hundred.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I have a mission, by the way, Suzy. I have a mission to help at least 100,000 people become financially free.
Excellent. That's a nice goal. And I don't think it's too lofty either. I think it's a very reachable and attainable goal for yourself.
Absolutely. And we're going to help some people at your event this summer do that as well.
Yeah. Tell us about those best-selling books. What are they?
So my first book is called Mindful Money Management, and it was basically a memoir of my career and how I achieved that dream of becoming a hedge fund manager and then achieving this dream. The second book is called The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. And it is basically I'm not a rules guy, but it's a rule book. So I say in the introduction to the book, you don't have to be into rules to use this book to become abundant and prosperous. And so I go through 9 specific rules or techniques that people can use to become financially free. And then my last book is called Infinite Love and Money. And I wrote it with Molly Singh, who's a relationship coach. And the goal was to end divorce caused by money.
Very impressive.
And we're working on a 4th book, by the way. It's called Your Path to Purpose and Prosperity. Should be out later this year. Co-authoring it with a purpose coach. And the reason why we're writing this book is because we fully believe that if you're on purpose, you're doing your purpose, your passion, you will be more prosperous.
100%. Yeah, darn, I missed the boat on co-authoring that one with you. I am a purpose person. Okay, I wanted to ask, who are your influencers? Who do you aspire to? Who has been some of the people that have really left a mark for you?
So I am a certified IP or infinite possibilities trainer. Mike Dooley wrote a book called Infinite Possibilities, The Art of Changing Your Life, probably 27 years ago. And I got certified to teach the core concepts of that book in 2017 and really changed my life. I say there are no coincidences, only synchronicities. A woman in my mastermind group back then told me I should go to an event he was doing called Playing the Matrix, which is another book he wrote. And so I went and we had all these synchronicities. And so Mike teaches, he was in the book The Secret and the film saying thoughts become things. And my signature of during when I had my hedge fund was thoughts are things, which is the first 3 words in one of my favorite books, Think and Grow Rich. And so when I knew nothing about Mike, my mastermind group colleague told me to go to this event. It's a weekend event. And I didn't know anything about Mike. And then he stands up and he talks about chapter 1 in Infinite Possibilities, thoughts become things. And I'm like, psh. And then he talks about how he started his career as an accountant. And I started my career as an actuary. And Suzy, you know the difference between an accountant and an actuary, right?
Nope, I'm going to ask you because I don't know.
Well, an actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you. An accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you. That's a joke. You could laugh. But yeah, we're both very introverted. And so he talked about how nervous he was when he was giving his early speeches. He's spoken in front of tens of thousands of people now. And then the other synchronicity was The Secret, which The Secret changed my life. And when I read that book, and he was in The Secret, and it completely changed his life and blew up his business. So he also writes a daily email called Note from the Universe that goes out to 1.6 million people globally every day.
Wow. That's a big email list.
So it's, so he's definitely been a big influence. I've traveled with him and he's given me like really great advice and helped me with getting on more stages. So that's one. I would say Napoleon Hill as well, because I've read Think and Grow Rich twice a year since 2008. So we're coming up to 36 times this year. Yeah. And every time I read it, it's a different book. I was like, wait, that sentence wasn't in there because I'm in a different place and I'm connecting with a different sentence. So that's been a huge, that book is timeless, by the way. If anyone who's watching this hasn't read it, highly recommend it. It was written over 20 years from like 1920 to 1940. But what's in there is timeless.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to a lot of Napoleon Hill's works. I'm with you there. Actually, I'm waiting for that big book to be delivered, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Do you tour? Do you like go around and talk all over at different cities?
I do. I just came back from Massachusetts last month, spoke at two different workshops. I'm speaking Maryland this month, Pennsylvania next month, Texas in September, as well as again in Pennsylvania. I'll be speaking in November. I'll be speaking back in Massachusetts and in Indiana. Mostly domestic so far. I did speak last year in London in April. And I've spoken around the globe as well.
Do you enjoy that? Like,
Oh
does it
yeah,
like check off your boxes like with the traveling?
absolutely. I mean, it's my biggest passion. I get to meeting people in person is just so joyful for me, and
Totally
to
agree.
change
Yeah.
some lives and to teach them the truth about money. And then I love seeing different parts of the United States, different parts of the world. I've actually traveled already to all 50 states. It's great to see. And then the cultures from around the globe. I've been to 61 countries. And so I just love to interact with people and see their perspective, but also it really has that we're all one. We're all of one consciousness. We're all together in this together when you really truly see people and in their environment from around the globe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I couldn't agree more. I take my little bit on the road with either the gongs or a class or a course or a retreat, and it fills my heart so much, especially, after the event or in between segments, and you get to talk to people. It's that to me, it's that feedback that has the most value. Like, how did that impact you? That's really what you're collecting, and it just hits you in the feels. Oh, you
Yeah,
changed my life, or oh, you inspire me, and it's just like, thank you. I love
yeah, I
people. Yeah.
yeah, me too. And I spoke back to back last month, which is rare. I did two a 1.5 hour workshop and then a 2 hour workshop back to back days in Massachusetts last month. And the feedback I got from both organizers was very heartfelt. I was very grateful. They both wanted me back. They both said that, there was a lot of kudos from the people in the audience. I was speaking on money manifestation techniques, right? And so these techniques, as I mentioned, have helped my Money Miracles mastermind group members generate almost $2.7 million. And so these people are maybe struggling, maybe living day to day, and maybe their business hasn't taken off yet, and to give them a technique where they can actually take action and have some real financial abundance come into their life is just very rewarding for me.
Do you find the common thread, like where people are coming in when they come into your scope? What is that?
Almost everyone, and it's interesting. Almost everyone that's come to me has really significant limiting beliefs around money. The mindset is just really, I mean, I
Can you give us
think
some examples of like the most common issues that people come to you that you see?
yeah, one is you got to work really, really hard to be rich and successful.
Yeah, and
And
it's not true, is it?
it's a limiting belief. And I will tell you from my personal life, in 2008, I got a job at Citi. It was my first job where I got paid for performance. So I thought, okay, I'll just work really hard. That's what I was taught my whole life. So I'll work, my kids were 2 and 4 at the time. I'll just work 75 hours a week. And I'll make a ton of money. Now, you remember, it was 2008. I barely made any money. I just got my salary. And I remember in December, it was early December, thinking, if I do this another year or two, I'm not going to see my kids become teenagers
Mm-hmm.
because I was killing myself. I wasn't present with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stressed out every day. And so I consciously made a decision to work less, work smarter, and have more fun. And that's actually the reason I wrote the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. Rule number 3, by the way, is can happiness buy you money? Not can money buy you happiness, can happiness buy you money? So I chose happiness every day. and I specifically did techniques and took actions to be happier in 2009. And I will tell you, in 2009, I made 10 times what I made in 2007 and 5 or 6 times what I made in 2008 and multiples, the next few years because of putting those practices into place. So it really, that's a big one. The whole philosophy of, no pain, no gain, struggle is noble, all of that goes along with that. And, other limiting beliefs, very common, are people who are just looking at the physical reality and assuming that's going to continue rather than choosing to believe that things can shift quickly.
Yeah, so it sounds like a really nice recipe, mindset based. It's a little bit of faith, and then your personal ingredients.
Yeah, so it's mindset and strategy. And I will tell you, I think The Secret gave manifestation a bad name because some people in those audiences in the workshops last month thought, well, I could just meditate and visualize all day and the millions are going to come. And I'm like, I will tell you, I don't know any billionaires who just sit at home in a fetal position on their bed, meditating and visualizing, right? You have to, and what happens after you visualize is you want to take action. You'll take inspired action because of what you visualized. And so this misconception of I don't have to take any action is just completely wrong.
Yeah, you got to show up.
Show up.
You can't just
Showing,
dream because
right.
that's non-physical. You have to take action to bring it into your physical world.
Right. And I will say showing up is actually 80% of it, maybe even 90% of it. But show up. Go on a podcast, right? Get on a Zoom call. If you're go out shopping and talk to somebody, right? Do the action steps, take some action. And just showing up is it's 90% of success.
Yeah. Juicy stuff. Juicy stuff. So most people do live paycheck to paycheck. And they don't have savings to last 6 months should something happen. Are those types of people good candidates to come and see you and participate?
Absolutely. There's this misconception, and it continues to this day, maybe because I'm a former hedge fund manager, that when I started my membership in 2021, I was in a mastermind group for the membership. And, we were helping each other build the membership. And one woman actually said to me, so are you only accepting millionaires into your membership? And I was like, what are you talking? Where did you get that? No, it's for everyone. In fact, it's probably not for millionaires because they're probably closer to financial freedom. I want to help those who have a journey to take, and I can help them on the journey. So I have programs, online courses for those who have limited budgets. And I work with people who have a little bit bigger budgets as well. And I will tell you, I've had people say to me, look, I truly believe working with you will work, but I don't have the money for 1 month's worth of the mastermind group. What can we do? And we work together to come up with an amount that's amenable for them. And I will tell you, I've given people techniques during that month. One member, Patty Lipstrew, who's a video testimonial, I can talk about her. She's been in the membership for 3.5 years. She manifested almost a full year's worth of the membership in the 3 weeks of the first month. I had another, Tina Fagel, who's also a video testimonial on my website. She manifested $10,000 in 30 days.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why I work with people, because I know once I start giving them the techniques and they start, and this may sound weird for some of you watching, but I know it won't for Suzy. Once you get into my energy and you interact with me more and more, your vibration around money is raised. And so you're attracting much more money than you ever have. And so I know that happens. And so I work with people because I want them to not just get 1 month's worth of benefit, but years of benefit.
Yeah, I super support that because if you continue your life the way that it's been, you're going to continue to get what you got. And you do need to bring in higher caliber people into your circles to help you get out of your comfort zone. It is like if you sit in a chair for a year, you're going to have atrophy. You have to get up and move around. You have to do things. You have to stay fluid and in a state of growth because atrophy will kill you and so will stress. And you want to always, like, my view is we are here on Earth School to evolve, to leave better than we came in and grow and develop relationships. And there's no more important relationship than the one with the self and the higher power, which helps kind of be your rudder to guide you and lead you and direct you. And as much as you love yourself or not, that is reflected in all of your relationships and your bank account. And so
Absolutely.
as
Yeah.
you come to understand, hey, I don't suck. I am a quality person and I'm worthy to give and receive love and have healthy relationships and do things that make me feel good, especially when it helps other people. And creator kicks in and they're like, yeah, and I will up you a couple of pence. Right?
Absolutely. And why I just want to continue the conversation I just had with meeting people halfway. So I want to offer the first 7 people who have watched today an individualized roadmap to an extra $10,000 in the next 30 days. Obviously, I can't do it for everybody. This is called your financial freedom breakthrough call. It's normally a $500 call, but I'm gifting it for the first 7.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's complimentary for the first 7, and we want to get you, moving to financial freedom today.
How generous of you. Thank you very much. We have, 100 of the 100 exhibitors that we have are entrepreneurs. Like there's a nice healthy pool there. And then, our followers, our watchers, viewers, and participants, we all can benefit from a fatter bank account, I think. And I have a question about muscle memory. The premise of how people who have a poverty mindset and they win the lottery, they're broke and bankrupt. How something like that can be changed. Can you give us a little sprinkling of some insight on that?
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. I think it's something like 95% of lottery winners 5 years after they won the lottery have less money than they did the day before they won the lottery. And the reason is because they don't have a millionaire mindset. And so they will believe that they can splurge on things, give the money away, but they need to consider their expenses, right? And so most lottery winners don't think that way, don't think about compounding that money to make it more. And so that's really important. Yeah, muscle memory. So look, like I said, most people come to me with these massive limiting beliefs, and it takes time. I worked with one guy one-on-one for a year because when he came to me, he was stacked in these limiting beliefs about working really, really hard, about, he didn't believe he was worthy of massive wealth. And he was pinching every penny, even though he was making about $30,000 a month. And when he came to me, he told me he was taught by his dad, you get this wooden board and you put it at the end of your toothpaste and you roll it forward so you don't miss a drop of the toothpaste. And he was doing it at 55 years old, even though he was, he's taught, and he was making 30, 40,000 a month.
Wow.
So he was in the poverty conscious mindset, even though he was quite abundant.
Yeah.
But he was not living an abundant life. He was living a poverty conscious life. And a lot of people I've met over the years are living that life. And I literally had a call this week with a guy who just started working with me a few weeks ago, and in a panic attack. He just got a surprise bill. He didn't know how he's going to pay it. And all the techniques I'd given him in the first few weeks went out the window. And I said, look, we got to reframe this. This is an opportunity, right? You used those services that you had to pay for, right? And here's a reframe, which everyone can use when you're feeling worried about your money situation. Stop, cancel, clear. Get the fear out of here. Stop, cancel, clear. Get the fear out of here. Or you could use the other F word. I won't judge.
So you say the words and then what happens? Like there's got to be an action, right? So there's got to be some kind of a plan for when somebody, because
Yes.
everybody that happens, suddenly their bank account is locked, or something devastating happens. Their furnace goes. They have no savings account, and they start freaking out. Stop
Right.
digging, right? If you're in a hole, stop digging. Right?
Right. So stop, cancel, clear, get the fear out of here. And then also think about something positive that's happened in your life already. At least one, right? The birth of a child, your wedding day, whatever it is, like get to a different state. And I'm not saying you can go from depression, the lowest on the emotional guidance scale to, gratitude, appreciation, love, joy, and passion immediately. But at least if you can get angry, you're moving up, right? If you can go from sadness to anger, get pissed off that this is happening, good, that's better. Or go from anger to overwhelm, that's better, right? So moving up the emotional guidance scale can be helpful. Then you're getting maybe ultimately to hope, where you can get in the range of where the abundance frequency is.
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, taking action. But I will also say I had this client I was talking to you about. When he came to me, he looked at his checking account 3 times a day. And every time he looked, his vibration would drop to worry and fear. And that wasn't serving him. And so I told him
Hmm.
to stop looking 3 times a day, look once a week. And so that your vibration is not dropping as often. And I teach pretending. I know it may sound weird, but if you're living in a vibration of worry and fear all day, every day,
Hmm.
then spend more time pretending, visualizing, acting as if what you want to happen has already happened. I teach that specific technique. What can you do to pretend more? Something awesome is about to happen. What would you do? Go onto your favorite department store, online department store, and buy your favorite whatever. Actually, don't buy it. Put it in your shopping cart. Get
Yes.
ready.
Yeah.
Get ready to spend it, because something awesome is about to happen. And I say from bad things come good things, from terrible, awful things come amazing, great things. So yeah, if your furnace just went and you don't have the money, actually if you don't have the money, go tap dance on the dining room table, first of all, because that's a bad thing. Something amazing is about to happen. Right. So go tap dance. But secondly, I had a woman who had joined my Money Miracles Mastermind group literally 48 hours before. 2 days later, after she joined, her furnace went. And this was in the middle of winter in upstate, not upstate New York. She's in Vermont, actually. It was cold this winter.
Sure
She
was.
needed a new furnace, like really quick. And I gave her techniques
Tap dance on
and,
the dining room table.
and other things. And 48 hours later, she had manifested $11,000. She had a new furnace.
Bravo. Bravo.
PSW. This stuff works. Or you could use the other S word. I won't judge.
Wonderful. Question for you. Changing gears just for a moment. What was it like giving a TEDx talk? Was it a lot
So
of work to
my
get there? And then what was it like?
Yes. So my biggest fear in life just a few years ago was public speaking. And 4 years ago, 3 people in my network reached out to me within a month and said, you should do a TEDx. It wasn't in my realm of thinking, but if one person tells you something, that's an incidence. 2 people tell you something, that's a coincidence. But 3 people, that's a pattern. And I listened, right? And so I listened, and 2 of them told me the same person I should use to get coached to do it. And so I hired Taylor Conroy and his team, and he has an amazing coaching program, gets something like 98% of the people who join on a TEDx stage. And it's just a matter of volume. So I applied to 38 different places. I got approved twice and did my TEDx Cole Park in Texas in studio. And yes, it was nerve-wracking. Yes, it was, because what's unique about the TEDx is you need to submit a speech, and you can't vary from that speech. I mean, a word or two, but you basically have to memorize an 11 to 17 minute speech. And if you're off a paragraph, you won't get accepted. So you have to memorize. You can't ad lib. You can't improvise. So when I first started overcoming my fear of public speaking, I spoke 100 times in 2 years at Toastmasters. I don't know if you've heard of Toastmasters.
I have, yeah.
So for those listening and watching, Toastmasters is a volunteer group of people who come together to get better at public speaking. And they're very supportive because we're all, usually all of them had a biggest fear of public speaking. And so it was a very supportive group. And I practiced Midtown Manhattan almost every week for 2 years. And it was great because most people didn't want to speak and I wanted to get better. I had just written my first book and I was writing my second, and I knew I needed to get out there and do this kind of thing. And I wasn't comfortable at all doing it. So back to the TEDx. So my first year in the Toastmasters, I practiced each 5-minute speech 80 to 100 times.
In what, a couple weeks?
Each week? No, a week. So
in 1
week. A 5-minute speech. So that's 500 minutes. I practiced 8 hours for a 5-minute speech.
Wow. Well, that'll do it though. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. So I had it memorized. So when it came to the TEDx a couple of years later, I was like, okay, I know how to do this. This is going to be 11 to 17 minutes. I got to practice 100 times. And that's what I did. And yeah, just kept on practicing and I got it down.
That's the secret. And look at that. It was a very natural progression for you. I love that. That's wonderful. I'm an ad libber. So I have to memorize mine then. Yeah, I get it.
So by the way, Suzy, we've had over 50,000 views of that TEDx speech. So, I don't know how many of those people watched and took action and became financially free. I haven't asked them, but who knows? Maybe it's
good on a resume.
Maybe it's 100. Yes.
Looks good on a resume. I'm going to link those in the show notes here so that people can go ahead and watch those TEDx. The TEDx talk. There's 2 of them, 2 different ones, or is it the same one in 2 different locations?
Just one I got approved twice, but it was inside baseball and TEDx. You can get approved more than once, but you can't give more than one speech.
Okay.
So
we'll link the one speech in the show notes along with your information, which I see on your background there, SaLaurMor.com, and you guys can just look right there on the screen. It's also here in the show notes. And any final notes that you would like to share with our audience?
So for those of you who have a dream, a vision, you have a business that you got into business because of that vision, #doubt the doubt. There's going to be doubts that come up. Don't have faith in the doubt. Doubt your doubt. Have faith in the dream.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you. Well, this has been a real pleasure. And I think you're giving a talk too. Are you? You're doing a talk at the Expo. Yeah. Cool. So listen, you guys, you got to come and meet Joel and go to his talk at our Expo in the middle of August. Metaphysical, holistical, mystical.com is the event website, and all of our presenters are there. The bios are there, website links, and so forth. Thank you again, and thank you everybody for watching. This has been The Woo Life with Suzy Woo, grounded conversations for cosmic thinkers, and I got it right. We will see you next time.